Rick Kelly alongside Marcus Ambrose on the front row, and Greg Murphy, that man there, he's going to try and get ahead of Marcus and then hope that, I don't know, things are really stacked against him, Neil. You can never hope for someone to have an off, but maybe an engine seizure or something.
We know that all kinds of weird things can happen in this business. Anything is possible. You've detailed the scenario for the championship, and certainly Marcus in a great position. It will be a fascinating contest between Ambrose, Rick and Todd Kelly, Greg Murphy. There's Morris starting from pit lane in the Sirame Wines entry. It's been a tough weekend for Paul. It started out badly yesterday when he was involved in a nose-to-tail shunt up at the hairpin turn 4. It wasn't his own fault.
Amazing job from the Holden Racing team. There's a fair bit of damage on Skate's car. I know you've been down there, Neil.
Yes. Well, they've managed to only just get the car done in time for Mark to get back out there. And great shame for them with a brand new car to have damage, but it was as a result of contact between Paul Wheel and Max Wilson in the first instance. Max was going up the inside at the hairpin and it turned Paul, half turning around, and when they released out the other side, Mark Skate was trying to sneak through on the inside. He just got tangled up in the mess, and he launched, that is Mark, off the side of Paul Wheel and up the embankment, and there's the HRT car that we speak of. Significant damage to the front left corner. Here is the starting grid, and Marcus Ambrose will lead the field after the terrific performance in race 2 from Rick Kelly and then Todd Kelly, his brother. Greg Murphy salvaging what looked like it could have been a tough weekend yesterday for a 4th place in the first race today. Great job. Russell Ingall fighting hard for this second in the championship as we wind down the series this year. Craig Lowndes, Cam McConville and Stephen Ellery, man of the match in the second race for sure.
Terrific scramble here. Jason Bargwanna up to 11th position, and that's an excellent job. He was 18th after qualifying, 22nd after the first race, and then to fight his way through after an engine change following the warm-up session today. Terrific performance. And as we scroll down through the field here, we welcome Shanghai TV and TVNZ. So China and New Zealand are tuning in for this third race. And for your benefit, I repeat that Marcus Ambrose need only finish in the top 12 in this final race today to clinch the 2004 championship. That would make it 2 in a row. He's also engaged in an engrossing battle with Rick Kelly for the round win. They're equal on points at the moment. A few hard luck stories further down the field. A few guys who've had collisions. David Bernard was very prominent going into the second race. He'd fought his way through from a pretty awful qualifying position, but finished up 29th.
Craig Baird, I don't think will actually be on the grid. They had an engine let go in that previous race, and I think they've elected to park that car for the remainder of the weekend. And the update on Garth Tander's problem in race 2, they had a throttle position sensor go down, and there he is back in the 28th position on the grid, car number 34, and he had great speed. His teammate Cameron McConville had a pretty good race. He was very happy with the performance of his car, and he'll start out of position 7.
He has to qualify 6th, finish 5th in the first race, and then drop back so dramatically. That's what can happen in these multiple race rounds. But likewise, you can catapult a long way ahead, as Cameron McConville, his teammate, has done. Qualifying 23rd, 15th after race 1 and 7th after race 2. And his start was absolutely brilliant. Wasn't so much the pit stop, which of course Kmart Racing drivers can owe a lot of their track position to. It was Cameron's start that he said was the biggest factor there. Not that he's denigrating his hard-working pit crew, of course. Getting set for a start here, race 3, and what is going through the mind of that man? I suspect simply the track ahead of him. He is a racer. That's how he got here, and that's how he'd love to finish this championship. Race 3, and a little bit of a stutter there from Rick Kelly, bogged it down, and once again a flyer from Ambrose, and screaming through as Todd Kelly in a second place. So the Kmart cars, Murphy and Kelly, are together. A couple of guys cutting the corner there. It was just too tight on turn 2.
Somebody actually went across the grass, and that was one of the Castrol cars and collected the styrene sign down there, but the front runners certainly got through very cleanly. A terrific start again from Ambrose. He's not making any mistakes under pressure. He gets on with the job, gives himself the best opportunity now to make some ground in clean air as the field rounds through turn 4.
3 wide in some cases. And there's Ambrose, and unleashed. Todd Kelly is the man who's hoping to at least put a little dent in this fantastic performance.
Bill, engine problem with Ambrose. There was smoke then going into turn 6, and immediately I heard him on the radio say, got an engine problem. So the advice to him is carry on, press on. There's nothing they can do, obviously, but that is not good news for Ambrose.
Well, an extraordinary battle there with Barkwana going toe-to-toe with Stephen Richards. They were banging together repeatedly down that straight. More polystyrene goes flying across the circuit like snowflakes. It's almost that cold.
It's all from the Castrol car going through there at the first turn.
Well, Bradley Jones has lifted his game too. He's moved up quite handily in the order. He's been fighting his way forward after a very tidy start. And yes, Ambrose in trouble here. Todd Kelly sweeps to the lead, and following him through, is it Murphy, I think? Rick Kelly drifting back to 4th there.
See, on the downshift, there's a problem with the Ambrose car, and it's not making any straight line speed, so it's seriously sick for some reason at the moment. He stays out under instruction.
Well, anything is possible here. We talked about the top 12. Is that now becoming a problem for Marcus?
55.2 Marcus on that lap. That's very slow. Pit window is open for the compulsory tyre stop in this race, and Ambrose is now starting to get boxed by everybody.
But bear in mind, Marcus can still finish outside the top 12, providing Murphy doesn't win the race. Now, what's that? Some debris on the circuit there, but also some hard charging. Ingle could go through here, and his teammate looks like he has. Although, will he concede? I guess not. No, he's going to go past Marcus.
Rick's been boxed up there, and that's hurt him because it's allowed Lowndes into the game. 3 wide, and that is a hairy moment for Lowndes in the dirty stuff. Now, Rick's down the inside. Craig goes with him. Marcus is in terrible trouble on the outside and in the marbles.
And McConville just behind them. McConville touching Lowndes. In fact, touched him right down pit lane. Well, that's an unscheduled stop, if you like. That's an extraordinary situation. What a time to get nudged off the circuit. Lowndes inadvertently thrown into pit lane. So his team will now be scrambling for the stop, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that was out of control. And they're all screaming on the radio. There was obviously a real moment, Darryl.
Yes, Cromley, Murphy in here. This team has been sharp with their pit stops all weekend as Todd Kelly is off the jacks and already pulling out. This is going to be close. Todd Kelly, Murph's going to have to give way to him. Todd Kelly got the jump.
And look at that. Greg had to do the thing that no race driver wants to do, and that's lift the throttle pedal at the critical moment, because when you're in the manoeuvring lane and the other guy's in the fast lane, you must yield.
Well, that was HRT versus Kmart in the pit stop stakes.
Yeah, Todd on the radio, good job, guys, and it was a good job for HRT. They've got him out in position. Murph had the rear wheels spinning before he even touched the ground. Bang! Oh, so close. Cold tyres and big pressure opportunity for both those blokes at the end of the old pit straight.
There has been so many.
Keep a few revs up, Marcus, so it doesn't stall. We'll just hang on and see if we can get to the finish.
There's that smoke that Neil talked about. Very alarming sign. We're going to check in here with the team as Ambrose comes in for his stop.
Watching Ambrose, as you mentioned, that smoke there coming out of the exhaust. It's also very oily smell down here, so I'm not sure what that problem is. He's going to have to give way to Luff. Tyre marks on the right-hand side of that car from the earlier laps of the race. We'll try and find out what's going on with Marcus's car.
It's sick. He's not even going to finish in the top 12 of this race, so the battle will go down to the wire, I imagine, at Eastern Creek, and this car will continue to drift backwards if it finishes at all.
Providing Murphy stays up where he is, that's the key. Murphy has to finish too, of course, so when we said Marcus need only finish in the top 12, well, that was...
it's on the assumption that the next nearest rival, in this case Greg Murphy, scores maximum points, because going into this race, there's a maximum of 256 points available as Russell Ingall comes in. 64 to win this race and 3 sets of 64 for the next event at Eastern Creek.
I've got a feeling, though, as you say, Neil, Marcus looks like...
Wait.
Slow on the right rear.
Go.
Had a slow stop there with the right rear. It held him up, even though he made time in those early laps. But that was a slow stop for Russell.
That cost him too, Darryl, as he rejoins there. And it'll take a while for the field to shake out, because not everybody's stopped, obviously. But that'll put him in 4th position, I reckon.
Yes, so the key now is, where does Murphy finish? Murphy has to maximise this situation with Marcus Ambrose. And... he And if he can't capitalise, here's another look at that start. As you can see, Rick there, a bit of smoke there as he bogged it down. Marcus gets a beautiful start and flying through Todd on the inside of Rick on this first crucial corner, or the second corner technically.
And here's all the drama up the back here. Which of the Castrol cars is it? Car number 8. So it's Paul Dumbrell that managed to nail the sign.
And Anthony Tratt momentarily unsighted, of course, as half of that sign just plonked itself neatly on his windscreen. But then disintegrated. Fastest lap so far, Todd Kelly, 52.89 seconds. And he is the effective race leader in 9th position. The 8 drivers ahead of him have not made their pit stops yet. Simon Wills at the head of that queue from Winterbottom. Breed, Bright, who is once again gambling with not much to lose.
There's something wrong with the timing computer on my screen, at least here, because they're not showing Murphy.
I noticed that before. Murphy has disappeared from the timing monitor. So, oh, there he is. He's bobbed up in 10th spot, but he's second behind Todd Kelly. So good
Makes
call,
sense
Neil.
now, but all of a sudden I started to get that feeling that maybe something had gone AWOL with him, and then he bobbed back up. So all is well.
The ghost,
timing stakes.
the ghost, we'll call him. So Greg Murphy now exists again, and he is second place. There he is, ahead of Rick Kelly, his teammate. He's riding shotgun with Russell Ingall just behind him, who coincidentally is Marcus Ambrose's teammate. Then we've got McConville, Stephen Johnson, Stephen Richards, Winterbottom, Luff, Ellery, Radicic, Lowndes, Ambrose in 19th position of the cars to have made their stops. Would you believe he's in 12th?
And Todd Kelly has done the fastest lap of the race so far at 52.8, and that's fractionally outside the record that Todd himself nailed in race 2 earlier today. 52.7 on lap 6.
Taking into account the cars that have made their stops, I'll just clarify what I said a moment ago. Marcus Ambrose is right on the fringe of that top 12.
But will the thing survive? Long way to go, that's the thing. When an engine's sick. And this man, together with the entire crew, will be unbelievably frustrated.
I believe they've apologised to Todd on the team radio. Okay, come on. Oh, what's this?
Paul Wheel's gone off, oil all over the road on the approach to turns 1 and 2, and he's turned it around on that oil that was left by Kelly and fired into the fence. Now, how much damage has been done on the right-hand side? Can he gather it up and get it out of there? Oh, no, well, it looks a bit second-hand. He's still in the car, and it's launched in pretty hard. We hope he's okay.
Full course
that
yellow,
would have been a very high-speed impact, because at that point on the road, Bright comes in and out. Scaife doing his stop. At that point, they approach turn 1 at just on 200 Ks. Now, he's been trapped on that oil, no question.
Bright and Bernard have also come in and escaped. Now, these guys, Anthony Tratt's in. Now, these guys had not made their first stop, so they get the benefit of making the stop under the safety car. And remember, they've had to put this car back together after Scaife's nasty collision in race 2, a collision that involved a couple of other drivers, actually. It was part of a concertina effect involving Wilson and Wheel. Greg Murphy has gone to the race lead. Todd Kelly, well, it's a dismal situation for him.
So move up a position or whatever, just probably doesn't matter now, but just if we need to do something later in the race or whatever.
Thanks for that, mate. It is where we are now, everything's looking sweet.
So, Eric Pender, Greg Murphy on the radio. There's the Paul Wheel car parked up on the left on the approach to turn 2.
And the 2 Shell Helix cars just allowing themselves to sort out the order there.
And having this crew just had a horror stretch from Bathurst onwards. Just the damage to their cars in the recent past has been extraordinary. They lost a car at the top of the mountain. That had to go back to Dencar for rebuild. They had the huge damage on the Jason Bright car at the Gold Coast, and now more damage to Paul Wheel's car here in Tasmania.
So they will have to sort themselves out when we get back underway. But Greg Murphy looks to have the race lead. The guys that were ahead of him that had not stopped, Bernard, Bright, Tratt and Scaife, of course, have pulled in and made their stops under the safety car. So we'll see what happens when they reshuffle the pack. Paul Wheel, that was a pretty big impact, I'd say, on his body. Not quite as bad as his teammates impacted Indy, but let's have a look.
Here's the replay of Todd Kelly with the engine failure. I'm assuming deposits oil everywhere, whatever it is, that it's terminal, and it sprayed oil all the way across the hump at turn 1 and then all the way across the face at turn 2. And then obviously unaware of the amount of oil on the road and back in the pack, along comes Paul Wheel and drove straight over the top of it. No grip at all, fires off into the fence, and pretty substantial damage. Let's go back down to pit lane with Kylie.
I have Keys Wheel with me. Yeah, Keys, what's Paul told you?
Oh no, he just said he was okay and everything was okay as far as himself go, but he was told about the oil was on the track and he did slow down, and I think he might have got a touch from behind. I'm not quite sure. We haven't seen the footage, so hasn't been our weekend, unfortunately.
But he's okay.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yep.
Yeah, I've got a feeling Paul not only slowed down, but also there were sort of glancing blows on the Armco there. But anyway, it's pretty scary.
There might be more to the story. We'll wait and see. But one of the good things is that he was wearing the hands device. And when you make one of those really high-speed impacts with the fence like that, you're certainly far better off to have that head and neck support. Replay on the run down to the hairpin here with the gasping Ambrose car, the point of view from Russell Ingall's car. Bits of debris going left, right and centre. A little bit of contact here between Rick Kelly, that is, and Marcus Ambrose, and Russell Ingall takes full advantage of that. They're pumping oil frantically into it. It's obviously breathing heavily for some reason that we don't know what the problem is. We'll find out later, no doubt. Holding him there, so he's right at the very back of the pack and departs, and, well, there you go. She's depositing oil and burning it, as you can see from that blue smoke coming from the left rear of the car. The question is it dropping oil on the road? And certainly other teams are telling their drivers, be very careful in case it's depositing an oil film on the racetrack.
The stewards obviously be keeping an eye on that, and whatever trail they can fall. Here we go. This gives you an idea of the volume that's coming out. It's, well, for a start, it's not good for Marcus, let alone good for anyone following him.
And the Avesco officials will look carefully at that, and look at this, it's breathing very heavily. In fact, he's back in pit lane. That's pit lane.
Is it standing near the director in, mate?
Look at it. She's a shot bird. That's a dead engine.
If that's correct, Marcus, drive it into the garage.
Okay, game over.
Well, the championship may well be still alive at the end of this race. Greg Murphy. Now, that's the other issue. Murphy is in 5th place.
Very disappointing for this crew because Marcus made a perfect start in this final critical race.
Just stay in the car, mate.
They need to have a good look. Sometimes it can be deceiving. Sometimes things that look dreadful are not so bad when you actually start to analyse, and that's what that crew will be doing at the moment.
This is a remarkable turn of events. And there are very few people here in this massive crowd who are pleased to see this, I can tell you.
Meantime, there are some other question marks going on out there at the moment, Bill, because what's occurring behind the scenes there, and frankly, I don't understand what's occurred. There's been some sort of a kerfuffle with timing. Remember, I picked up on that timing glitch early. I think the safety car didn't necessarily pick up the right car. There's been a lot of discussion on the radio, so the order at the moment is David Bernard leading them away, and well, Bernard, the computer shows Bernard from Brighton, Tratt, Scaife, and then Murphy, Kelly, Ingall, McConville, Stevie Richards, Stevie Johnson's the top 10. A lot of people scratching their heads as to how that unfolded. Quite frankly, unless I could study the entire lap chart, I don't know that I can unravel it for you.
We do know those top 4 pitted during the safety car. They were yet to make their first stop, and they took the opportunity when the yellow flag came out to make their first pit stops. Now, whether they should have joined the back of the queue or...
Well, they just would have done they would have done what they do, and
it's not their fault.
No, they've just gone blasted out of the pits and away they go. But it would seem as though they've somehow ended up at the front of the pack. But look, these things can be very confusing, and without all the facts, I don't really want to venture into it.
The other interesting aspect of this is that Greg Murphy at the moment is on 158 points for the round. Rick Kelly on 180. No, he's on 160 now because Murphy's past Tratt. But anyway, there's a great battle for the round victory going on right now. And Russell Ingall and Greg Murphy are on 160 each, and Rick Kelly is on 180. So Rick's looking pretty good. Marcus, of course, is now out of the picture in terms of the round victory, and indeed it looks like he'll have to wait another week.
Rick was well and truly on the very limit behind Anthony Tratt there on the way to the hairpin. You could see we had glimpses of him just snaking sideways.
Well, Brighton Murphy is still in the game here, according to the positions we have. Still in the championship battle, but they'll have to be careful. And there's even the threat of rain, but let's not try and make it even more complicated than it is.
So, Greg Murphy on the attack behind Mark Scaife. Meantime, Bernard up the front, Bright behind him.
20 to go, 20 laps to go.
Many people kept their best tyres aside for this final race this afternoon. Other people chose to use their better set in the second race. Different strategies unfolding.
That's really nicely. Scaife, get out of my way.
Well, that's Murph, of course, exclaiming that Scaife shouldn't be there. And he's trying to pick up 2 valuable championship points here, and it really has come down to increments now in terms of the championship, and Murph getting a little hot under the collar here.
And he'll be baffled as to why Mark could be at the back of the field at the start and all of a sudden be up there now. But it'll be to do with the way he and other drivers took advantage of the deployment of the safety car. But there's no point arguing about it now. You've got what you've got. They've restarted the race. It is what it is. They can argue about it later. For the time being, what Greg has to do is just get on, drive the car, make the most of the opportunity. He's still in the game. He's fourth. He had a car that was misbehaving early in the weekend, and it's not going too badly now. And it looks as though Mark Scaife may be able to salvage something out of what's been a pretty even weekend for him.
Car smoking on the back straight, not sure if it's any oil related.
And this is the backroom discussion that's going on. Kelvin O'Reilly from Tega talking to, is it Rob Crawford hiding under the helmet? And Rob's going, don't know how that can be. And in fact, Rob's about to become the technical director for the category next year. Darryl.
Rob, what's going on?
Mate, I don't know. I wonder if anyone knows what's going on. You know, you won 2 in the race, and the 3 or 4 guys come in and pit under safety car, and somehow they've picked them up as the leader on the timing screen. So, I don't know.
We're going to get to the bottom of this before the end of the race, you think?
I hope so. We'll just see what happens.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
History tells me that these things are pretty hard to sort. The race control are busy doing what they do, and timing are doing what they do, and the racers are all doing their job, so all this stuff tends to get sorted out later on. Now here's some more aggravation up at the hairpin. What happens here? We've got newcomer Alex Davison getting tangled up with Jason Bargwanna. And it gets pretty out of shape up there at that hairpin at different times. A bit unfortunate because Bargs sort of was scrambling around the corner from some of the kerfuffle earlier. It actually hasn't been delayed too much, although the door and the B-pillar looks a bit ordinary. And away he goes. Meantime, David Bernard's in good shape here. Everybody's scratching their head.
Well, it's not over yet.
He's going to drive the wheels off that thing.
Well, he had car speed, didn't he, until a bit of drama, as we pointed out early in the race. He finished 29th, but he was 8th in race 1, so an extraordinary situation unfolding here. And I tell you what, with Murphy back in 4th place, Jason Bright a couple of positions ahead of him, but of course Jason had a pretty crook second race, so he's conceded a
Oh, trouble at the hairpin. This time it's Rick Kelly. And how did that come about?
Another safety car, possibly. If Rick's probably just waiting to let the field peel through while he gets out of trouble here. He should be able to do it, unlike Bernard in race 2, who had the rear end trapped.
Okay, mate, just try and get it going if you can.
She's got a lot of fluid leaking out from
It's all over.
Whoops. Well, Rick's saying that there's no way he can move, so... Well, Bernard was stuck in almost identical place. He had the rear just lifted slightly, could not drive out of trouble there, but this is a totally different situation.
The question is why? How did he end up crossed up?
Hairpin, stuck on the exit of the hairpin.
Yellow flag.
He's trying to grab reverse, and
Safety
they're
car's
deploying the WPS safety car again. And the marshal's on the job explaining to the competitors to stay wide at the hairpin. Yellow flags flying. SC boards are out for the safety car, so a confusing motor race, this one. And here's the Zinger replay. Let's see whether we can pick up in the background what's occurred. I think Rick just appeared. Russell's in behind him. Now, It appears as though they made contact, but there may be more to the story when we see a wider shot or a shot from a different angle. We caught a little bit of it in the middle. And that's the best information we have on that situation at this point.
Okay, with the first safety car, we had 3 teams pit under safety car, cars 2, car 23 and car 50. And basically, for whatever reason, whether it's a timing screen or whatever, we got the wrong car showing as the leader of the race. And under this second safety car, those 3 cars have been waved through, so we've now got the right leader.
Thank you.
No worries.
And Tiga boss Kelvin O'Reilly clarifying that, which of course does put Greg Murphy in the lead. Now here's the other interesting thing. Marcus Ambrose has come back out onto the circuit,
which kind of suggests that it was an oil leak as distinct from any kind of an engine failure, because you can't get the thing back on song that quick. Meantime, the reason for the contact between Rick Kelly and Russell Ingall up at turn 4 was that for some reason Rick's engine was coughing. I heard him talk about the engine stalling at turn 3.
Marcus, we're looking at 11 laps to go.
we've had 30
Let's
laps.
just have a listen to Marcus.
That's correct. We can't go a lap down. We're right on the minimum amount.
So to be classified, they're talking about as a finisher.
Okay, copy that.
So Marcus just questioning where he might
We should
be.
have reduced the, it looks like the smoke's reduced, so that cylinder, we've stopped it from working. It was giving us the problem.
There you go.
Well, there's an important point there, because to be classified, Marcus needs to be classified to pull out the 136 points that he's sitting on at the moment, regardless of what happens here. Now, Murphy and Bright, well, Murphy and Bright were still in the game. Not sure about Bright now, because he was one of those guys who was sent round to the back of the field, but we know Murphy is very much in the game now in terms of the championship.
There'll be a lot of very unhappy people about this timing glitch or whatever it may be, or picking up the wrong person. In a critical race like this, how that can happen is a bit of a mystery and a bit disappointing and frustrating for all concerned. I was making the point about Rick Kelly, that the thing sneezed through turn 3 and the power steering loaded up, because obviously he started to lose engine power, and then it just stalled on him in the middle of the hairpin, and that's why Russell bumped into the back of it. So both Ross Stone and Rob Crawford had a conversation, and Rob explained to Ross what had happened. As we look there at Ian Brown from Kmart, an engineer.
You can have a look at it. It's probably a bit hard.
And
I think it's not worth it at this stage.
the message was passed on to Russell, just so he didn't feel as though he had done anything wrong. It's Matty in the background just talking to Rick about whatever the problem is with his car as they try and resurrect it.
Yeah, just give it a miss. We can't see anything on the data, so yeah, just give it a miss.
So
Ambrose.
Teko's talking to Rick.
We believe Ambrose is going to come back into the pits again as well. Kylie King is with Garth Tander, who's had his share of problems today too.
He sure has. Not the way you wanted the day to end, Garth, after promising so well yesterday.
Yeah, we had a great day yesterday. Qualified 6th and finished the first race 5th, and looking strong in the second one. I had a throttle position sensor fail, and then fixed that, start from the back, got a good start, and then had a bolt in the front of the crankshaft that holds all the pulleys on come break, and we lost oil pressure. So it's a bit of a shame. We've had that same thing happen before. It happened to the 33 car at the Sandown 500. So you would have thought we'd learned from that. But anyhow, we look forward to Eastern Creek and next year. And gee, those Kmart cars are going well.
And your teammate Cameron, he's doing okay too.
Yeah, Cam's going well. I mean, he started well down. He had a bad qualifying session, but he stayed out of all the trouble that's going on out there at the moment. And we're not quite sure where he is on the track at the moment. They can't work out who's where with the safety car, but we think he's racing for the podium. So it'll be a good recovery if he can do it.
Yeah.
You're not alone there, Garth. Thanks for that.
You're right there, Garth. In fact, Cameron is officially, well, he's 7th according to the timing monitor, but when you remove Bernard Bright and Scaife from the top of the order, he's 4th. So
yeah, well, that is if you don't use a lucky dip method, which is apparently what seems to be going on out there at the moment, because the safety car lights are still on, and there's still scoring issues. So there's something weird occurring, because they're still showing Bernard Bright and Mark Scaife at the top of the order. So obviously a gremlin in the system. It's got everybody a bit edgy on a day of such importance.
Well, exactly. It's a very big gremlin, and you know, we don't want to be throwing criticism around lightly, but Jason Bright in particular he needs to know whether he's on 126 points out there or a whole heap less. Just a
what it
reminder
does
that
mean is that the grand finale,
Yes.
brought to you by Big Pond at Eastern Creek, is going to be an even more significant race meeting.
it's going to be the grand finale.
Be there.
Don't forget 2 prizes to be won for buying a ticket and just getting involved on the weekend. Very exciting. I think I said something earlier about next week. Of course, I meant next round. Still a couple of weeks away, Eastern Creek. I think we'll need that much time to catch our breath.
Kelvin's obviously, he's going to be hating this under the glare of public spotlight, and the WPS people must be taking issue. Kelvin's seeking Tony Manson from Avesco. And
Yeah, we'll see. WPS want David Bernard to lead this race, which is what the timing monitor says. And if he's shunted back to the field, then obviously it's a big thing for them.
Lights will be out this lap. Lights will go out this lap.
that's the voice of Eric Pender talking to Greg Murphy, who feels as though he's probably on for a race win, but the round win could well go to Russell Ingall. But V8 Superstars, Billy, next Wednesday night.
Gee, we'll have a bit to talk about there.
I reckon you might. Crown Casino in Melbourne. Call Ticket Tech if you'd like to go along there and see the boys in action on 132849, Wednesday, 17th of November. Beautiful Crown Casino in Melbourne. Russell Ingall,
He's got the Vortex sticker there on his helmet this week. Bit of a change, and we're all in a Vortex at the moment. Wondering what's going on. Trackside, of course, we've had some wonderful support race action this weekend, so you'll see it all in trackside, including the Utes, the Brutes. They're back, so don't miss that as well.
That brand new car of Mark Scapes at the Holden Racing Team is a beautiful bit of engineering, and had a bit of a look at that in the last couple of days, and very different architecturally to their previous cars. Let's go down to Darryl.
Yeah, Neil, we're just down here, just trying to grab Ross Stone here. He's still talking to Jim Stone. We tried to drag him out of the garage here. They've obviously had this car in and out of here a fair bit, trying to find out what's going on. I'll have to stand back here for a sec. Might have to get you back in a second once he gets free.
We'll come back to you. Ken Douglas there on the right, Jim Stone in the centre, Ross Stone on the left, Les Laidlaw with the helmet on, Paul Forgy, engineer, senior management at Stone Brothers.
Yeah, did you just come in the pits this time, Marcus? We're actually going to be half a lap short.
Well, Ross, I guess the biggest thing, obviously the car's losing oil. You've had to put oil in it. You give us any idea what you've done to it to get it through the rest of the race?
Yeah, we worked out which cylinder it is. We just disconnected the injector for it, so there's no fuel getting pumped in there. But you have to do 3/4 of the race, and we've lost too many laps. If you divide it all out, we're sort of about half a lap short, if you know what I mean. So we're going to pull the pin and just park it, I think. We'll just have a double check on our numbers, and we'll go from there.
Keeps you hanging, doesn't it? Now it's going to go to that last round.
Oh, yeah, that's the business we're in. You know, it's... you know, you think you're doing okay, but, you know, anything can happen, and it usually does.
Thanks, Ross.
Yep, no worries.
To be classified, I haven't got that information at my fingertips at the moment, but using Ross's figures there, he's saying 3/4 of it, so you need to do 31.5 laps of 42, and I'm just searching for...
Half a lap short.
Searching for Marcus's elapsed laps here, and I think he's showing 23 there at the moment. And I understand that the timing as it's currently being portrayed is not going to be corrected while this stuff is debated. Gary Rogers in debate here with Kelvin O'Reilly, and
well, Gary's obviously...
Game over for Marcus Ambrose. Very disappointing for him. A ripper start in the third race, and it looked as though in the first few hundred metres that he was going to make a perfect afternoon. And he's going to have to wear the additional pressure of the next few weeks en route to the grand finale at Eastern Creek. The lights are off now on the safety car, so we will go racing. I think Marcus can feel well pleased with the job he's done. His car wasn't perfect when he first arrived, but he continued to tweak it with the team, and they made it very strong. He's probably done everything that he could do, but some technical reason they've had a failure today, let them down in the final race. So,
and it's still going to be very difficult for his rivals to catch him at Eastern Creek. But then again, 3 races. 1 over 100 Ks, 2 over 150, you never know.
What we do know is we're going racing again. What we don't know is the precise order, because it shows David Bernard as the leader, and we can only take timing as the official measure of what goes on the racetrack. But on the racetrack, the leader is clearly Greg Murphy. So you be the judge.
Well, what we can do is basically eliminate the top 3 from our timing monitor and work downwards from there. So Murphy, Ingle, Richards and McConville. And I was going to say why Gary Rogers is concerned about all this is that he may well have Cameron McConville on the podium. Well, not on the podium technically, because they only stand you on the podium for round results. So have to be cautious there. But he may be in the top 3 for race 3, which would be a good achievement for Cameron, the man who won at Winton. Murphy with a little bit of a gap here on Ingle, and poking up right hard on the back of Russell is Stephen Richards, and then Cameron McConville, Stephen Johnson, Warren Luff, Stephen Ellery, Mark Winterbottom, Simon Wills and Craig Lowndes. We think that's your top 10, barring Bernard, Bright and Scaife. Let's go back to pit lane.
Well, Marcus, we thought it was going to be today, but it's not.
No, look, you can't have a great day every day, and you know, we had an engine problem there. It's pretty obvious to see, but you know, I've had a great car all year, and we're pushing to the limit. You know, I'm pushing myself to the limit, the car to the limit. Sometimes these things happen.
Obviously, Eastern Creek's been a pretty good place for you, so you go into that with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, we do. It would have been lovely to, you know, finish it off today, because we had a car good enough to win the whole weekend. You know, it would have been fantastic, but not to be. Maybe next year.
What do you think of the Tassie race and the round and all the fans that have turned out here today?
Absolutely fantastic. You know, for the population of just over 350,000, you get 35,000 here. That's a fantastic achievement. And really, when you compare it to places like Sydney, where you got millions of people there, and you only get 25,000 turned up on that day, shows how much support we have in this state, and we should never have left.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks.
Well, as Marcus was talking with Darryl, the computer's rejigging itself again, and now it does show Greg Murphy as the leader from Russell Ingles, Stephen Richards, Cameron McConville is 4th, and it's still showing Bernard as 5th, and Jason Bright, but that continues to be an evolving situation.
One of the
Dale Breed goes
turned around.
The Dodo entry, so I didn't actually catch who it was that he was doing battle with, but he's up and away again. He's got a left rear flat tyre. That'll be as a result of the contact by the look of it. So Bernard's into Bargwana, and that hairpin always produces action.
Jason Bright in there as well, desperately hoping to stay in the championship battle, but he's in 12th position at the moment. In fact, he's just lost a position. But anyway, we have a situation where Greg Murphy is on 166 points for the round and Russell Ingle on 170 points. It's a good battle up the front, 1st and 2nd too. Kylie.
Kelvin O'Reilly, Gary Rogers had a crack there.
Well, it wasn't really a crack. I mean, it's just the Keystone cops at their best. It's hilarious. I mean, everyone along pit lane, except them, knows what's going on. They're paid to do the job. We're not. I mean, we're trying to run our race teams, and to be quite frank, it's not good enough. You've got the public paying their money to come here. They don't want to see the safety car torching around lap after lap. And, I mean, it wasn't a difficult decision to make. It was quite obvious who was leading the race and who was at the back of the field. It just amazes me.
Cameron's up there, of course, which is good.
Well, he's up there, but we're not up there far enough either.
Thank you.
Oh, Gary's on the rev limiter, and it's good when he says that because it keeps the heat off me, and that way I can just smile and let someone else do the dirty work, but it is not good enough, I'm afraid.
So it's Murphy, Ingle, Stephen Richards, and there's a good battle here. Craig Lowndes on the attack. Oh, it's Simon Wills, and did more than look at him.
Yeah, and there was a bit of biffo as they made their way down the old pit straight before, and obviously the battle raged there. So Simon Wills and Craig Lowndes getting stuck into it for some reason.
Craig lost all momentum after that contact, and Simon scooted away, and Paul Radicic found himself with Craig almost in his lap there, and Max Wilson is right behind his teammate. Max staying with the team next year. Paul is not. Max with the faster car this weekend, or supposedly it's the brand new one. In fact, Craig Lowndes was in that car not long ago testing for Triple Eight, so it's all very incestuous.
Well, this race is about to wrap up now. Here's Lowndes on the right-hand side of Wills, and then they move, clang sideways with each other, and and Craig can't pull her up and runs a little bit wide. And half a lap earlier than that, they made contact as well, I think. Or certainly Craig was in the gravel. Checkered flag is out. I know Greg Murphy's going to win this race, the final race today in Tasmania. So Kmart still stand up at the end. Brad Jones with a problem.
Russell Ingall's going to win the round. And the championship is still alive. Extraordinary finish.
Well, you know, it's fascinating because, you know, Murph was just the grimmest character yesterday and even earlier today, and it just shows you in this game you've just got to keep pressing on. Great job, Russell Ingall. Thanks very much for that. And that well and truly puts him in the game for this battle for second in the championship going to Eastern Creek, Bill.
Murph's pulled off some great saves this year, not counting, of course, comprehensive wins at Bathurst and Indy, but there have been times when this team has really scrambled to get the car in tip-top condition for racing. And Eastern Creek earlier in the year is one that comes to mind. Now here's a bit of biff here with Brad Jones getting a touch-up from Jason Barguana, but whether Jason was forced into that situation, we don't know. It's a bit hard to judge. I think the stewards are going to be busy after this race, Neil, and Brad's trying to work out which way this circuit goes. It's anti-clockwise.
Yeah, and maybe as a result of that contact or some other problem, he's actually just leaping out of the car. I can see him outside the commentary box. He's right next to the rostrum where the finish flag is being displayed, and he's getting out of the car. So, and there he is. And you can see the damage on the right rear there. There must be some other issue with it at the front. But anyway, we'll find out more from BJ a little bit later on.
I'm not sure if the timing monitor issue is completely resolved either, Neil, but let's...
Don't start.
I'm getting some information handed to me here, but let's... Yeah, well, there's another incident.
That just fired off. Bradley was involved in that, and the Castrol car, I think it's Dumbrell, is it? Yeah, he was very lucky not to hit the Kmart car. It just goes to underscore the reason why Tim Schenken, the race director, is so cautious about where cars are positioned and why we have to sort of neutralise races on occasions. That's a graphic example of why a stationary car's got to be somewhere safe.
Let's go to Daryl Beattie.
Russell, you're after that second place in the championship and you've won the round in Tasmania.
Oh, shit. I mean, bugger. Mate, just a long time coming, you know. It's been a hard old slog. Really good for the team, you know. Like, we've had such a shocker run this year in certain races we should have won. And to finally get that number one, excellent, excellent.
You've got to be excited now because you're getting that much closer to second in the championship and SBR 1-2 possible at Eastern Creek.
Yeah, can't believe it. Like, so good. Like, yeah, Eastern Creek, and it's going to be a good round for our car too. So, mate, I'm just wrapped.
Well done.
Thanks, dude.
Greg Murphy, what a crazy day.
That is the craziest of crazies. I mean, there's probably a couple other guys that should have been up here. Todd and Rick should have been on the podium today. Had some bad luck there, but, you know, to finish second in this case, first you must finish, and you know, the boys, I've got to take my hat off to our guys for the pit stops they did today. That's the reason we're here. Their stops were just sensational, and you know, for a car that probably wasn't the best car out there again, you know, they made the most of it. It was fantastic.
I was going to say, you weren't happy early on, but you finished second. Amazing.
Yeah, very amazing, and that just attributes to the day that it's been with guys having problems, Marcus having a problem, Rick and Todd both having engine problems too by the looks of it. So very, very strange.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Richo, you got to fight to the end, and I guess in some ways, like you said, you're surprised to be here.
Yeah, I am. Like, you know, we've been working hard these last few races, and we haven't had much of a result. So for once, we've actually had a few things fall our way. You know, we're looking a bit average after the second one, coming in 13th, and you know, we had a great run through. We changed the car, made it better, and this is the result. So full thanks to the Castrol Perkins team. They did a great job.
Looking forward to that next round and the last round of the championship.
Yeah, look, you know, everyone wants to go out in a high, and we're no different. We want to secure our first round win, so we'll be trying real hard.
Well done.
Thanks.
Craig Lowndes, incidentally, was only 4 points behind Richo off that ultimate podium. Ingle, the most experienced driver at this circuit, 4 starts, including a third in 1999. That's his first round win this year. We're looking at the race result, though, of course, at the moment. And that's provisional because there is still an investigation into the timing problem that we had in this race. So these are provisional positions. Of course, David Bernard, Jason Bright and Mark Scaife's crews are all up in arms about that. Russell did win a race at Hidden Valley, but that is a breakthrough for him in terms of overall results. Further down the order, well, what must some of these guys be thinking? Mark Scaife for one. And there's Marcus Ambrose. An extraordinary situation with Marcus. He finishes with 126 points. I mentioned 136 earlier, but now he cannot claim points from this race because he did not finish the required number of laps to be classified. So that even worsens his position regarding Greg Murphy. I mean, he still goes into the final round in good shape. We make it 151 points ahead of Murphy, so he's still in very good shape there. Another 49 points to Russell Ingall, who has crept ahead of Jason Bright in the championship battle. Bright is now 2 points behind Russell Ingall in 4th place, and then Rick Kelly in 5th and Stephen Richards 6th. Let's go back to pit lane.
Well, Scaife, it's not been a good weekend for you guys, but some bizarre things happening here this weekend as well.
Oh, well, look personally, we've had a shocker, you know, with 2 DNFs. Our new car was plenty fast enough, but, you know, we need to tune it to make it good as a race car. Unlucky for Todd there in the last race, because clearly he was going to be really in contention to win the weekend. And then I don't know what was going on there in that race. We did more laps behind the safety car than we did the other way. It's probably good for the brakes, but very, very strange. I mean, the way we work it out there now, we've done an extra lap than everyone. That's exactly what's happened. We're actually leading the race at the back of the safety car field. So if you can work that one out, you're a better man than I does.
I don't think I'll be able to.
Good luck.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate.